Today, it's hard to imagine a time without electricity. But for the residents of the Ozark Mountains in the 1930s, it was their way of life, and a hard life at that.
We actually lived 4 miles south of Kirbyville, and that was known as Pine Top. And it had been a post office and a school, all of this without electricity. They used kerosene lamps.
I was raised on the farm, and we didn't have electricity. It had a spring about 300 feet from the house, and you carried water in a bucket from the spring to the house.
You washed on the rubboard, you know, and heat water on a wood stove in the house or outside in a kettle and rub it and rinse it. You didn't do a very good job, of course.
When you get up in the morning, you had to go split enough cookwood for Mom to cook with all day.
You have to cook that day what can be eaten that day.
My mom would cook beans for a lunch, and they'd sit on the table all day, and I know I've eaten beans that taste funny.
To keep the milk cold, my mother put it in a large bucket, so to speak, with a lid, and we carried it down to the spring because the spring was cold. And we set it in a pool of water.
We had a cellar. We'd set our milk in there of a morning when they'd milk the cow, but by night when we got ready to drink it, it was cool, and sometimes it'd be clabber. You clabber milk.
While 90% of city dwellers enjoyed the modern convenience of electricity, rural folks were literally still in the dark.
There was electric companies here a long time, but not out in the country, not out of the city limits.
They are the power companies, you know. They didn't want to go into the rural territory because they didn't think it would pay off.
There was at least 3 miles between a lot of those farms. Empire District didn't want that. They're not going to build 3 miles of lines to furnish 3 light bulbs and a refrigerator. That's what brought the co-ops in, that they were needed.
The co-op, we appreciated it because we appreciated them bringing electricity. If they hadn't, we wouldn't have had it.
It come to life when the co-ops come in and hook up these little towns.
As part of the New Deal of 1935, President Roosevelt created the Rural Electric Administration. Cooperatives like White River Valley Electric Cooperative were formed, bringing power to those who had long been ignored.
When they started building the electric lines, my dad, he was a farmer, of course, we wanted electricity, needed electricity. So he came into the office. They sold a membership certificate. They paid $5 to be a member of White River.
Part of my job was going around and seeing if people wanted electricity, if the power line was going to be built through their vicinity. And of course they'd say, well, how much would it cost me? And I said it was $2.30 a month for 25 hours. Most people was thrilled at the chance to get electricity they'd heard about, but some of them was afraid maybe that it had caused health problems, having a power line over their property,
A lot of them didn't know about it. They haven't been in town, much. They just lived out in the country. But boy, when your neighbors got electricity, you had to have electricity. And boy, I'll tell you, when you hooked one of them up, they were happy.
In 1940, White River energized their first electric line, and with the arrival of electricity, the Ozarks were introduced to conveniences they had never known.
My dad had the house wired, and he had a little light bulb in every room with a chain to pull it on. I remember that very day.
If you needed a light, instead of getting a match to light the old kerosene lamp, you just flipped the switch and there was your light.
They got a refrigerator right soon. Oh, that was just a wonderful thing, that refrigeration.
We had cold milk to drink at night when we had our evening meal, We usually had cornbread and milk. Oh boy, it was just unreal for us.
Even have ice cubes, that was a rare thing.
My mom, she discarded her washboard and plugged that washing machine in, a wringer type washer. And she thought she was on top of the world then, you know. And we had running water in the house. You just open the faucet and you had water. That's a big improvement.
I remember the first electric fan we ever had. Little old bitty oscillating thing, you know. Go to bed and let that thing run. It was great.
A lot of the farmers around here had a few milk cows, you know. And of course they got a milking machine. And then they got more dairy cows.
It was exciting. People were really, they were happy, yeah.
When anybody told we have electricity, they always said it with a smile of excitement, because it was exciting. That means we're getting uptown.
Of course, electrifying the Ozarks didn't just happen overnight. The lights continued to go on for the first time throughout the 1950s.
When we first built the power lines, we just went down the highways, you know, and not very far off of the highway.
Everybody didn't get electricity when we did. Even our neighbors, some of them, they didn't have electricity.
Depending on where they lived, you know, how far from the existing line, sometimes it'd be quite a wait they'd have to have.
It was expensive to build. Those lines cost a lot per mile.
When we started out, it was all physical. No equipment at all.
We climbed the pole to do everything.
Our hooks and belt was our only means of getting there, and there was times that we would spend a half a day. We'd go up to the pole at 9 o'clock, come down, eat our lunch, and go back and spend the rest of the day on the same pole.
It was a thrill to me and to us employees to hook up a new service.
When we'd put the meter in, they'd watch it turn.
And then they'd go in the house and look at.
Yeah, and then go in the house to see if stuff was running.
Yeah,
if their lights would work.
Bringing electricity in like that was going to change their lives just a lot.
They thought we were the best people in the world. You heard that from nearly everyone.
Today, cooperative lines stretch across 75% of America. And although the times and the technology have changed, White River Valley Electric Cooperatives still exist for the same reason today: to improve the lives of our members. It's what we do every day.
The mission of the electric co-op has always been to have the most reliable electricity at the cheapest cost that it can actually be. And I don't think that's really changed over the 70 years history of the electric co-op. Our membership requires that we be reliable.
The line crews stay real busy. The main reason is we do everything from setting meters to building new lines. We do a lot of outage work, you know, anytime anything goes off. We do maintenance, change poles, cross arms.
When we go out to work on the power line, we always expect the best. But you know, really, we don't train for the best. We train for the worst.
On February the 29th, approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, a tornado came through, taking out about 8,700 members. At that time, we called in every available lineman, which was about 60 here at White River.
We had a local commissioner come on the radio and say, hey, you guys are probably not going to have electricity for 7 to 8 days. Well, just so happened all my linemen were listening. Now come on, that's a challenge. Our guys jumped on it, and 42 hours later, changed 40 poles out, put several miles of power line back up.
At White River Valley Electric Cooperative, in addition to reliable service, our focus is on people, not profit.
Here at White River, we actually take a little different philosophy than most businesses, where most businesses actually want you to buy more of their product or use more of their product. White River, we actually go out there and encourage our members to try to save electricity. We want your electric bills to be lower. We put energy saving tips in our Rural Missouri magazine every month. We have energy tips and an energy calculator on our website. If you install energy efficient equipment into your home, we will actually rebate you, give you money back for doing those type of things.
And today, White River delivers much more than just electricity to those we serve.
White River has 7 cooperative principles that we try to operate by, and one of those is commitment to our community.
We're involved in all types of organizations. We're involved in Rotary clubs, chambers in all of our counties. We're also involved in not-for-profit agencies and charitable organizations such as Relay for Life.
Operation Roundup is a cooperative effort with our membership and White River Electric to go back out and help our community. Operation Roundup is there and available for families and organizations in our community, especially with families that are in crisis situation and needing that extra hand up. One of the things that we're really funding this year is food, for the food pantries, for the backpack programs.
Besides helping those in need, Operation Roundup also invests in the future of our communities.
One of the large pieces of the program is our scholarship fund, and we have given $1.2 million back into the students in our community. Along with the donations from our membership, we also have a couple of special projects that we do throughout the year to help raise funds for our scholarship program. One of those is a fishing tournament that we have down at the Adosha Marina. We also have a Pro-Am satellite golf tournament here in Taney County. We've added the Branson After Hours event, which is the Bob Bash, and that also helps raise funds for the kids' scholarship program. But it's a good way for the community to get involved and also to meet our students that they're helping get through college.
I was very grateful to receive a scholarship from White River Electric Cooperative, and I used that towards my books.
I got 4 $1,000 scholarships, applied for it each year and received it. I used it to go to Mid-America Nazarene University in Olathe, Kansas.
The scholarship program, I mean, you just never know really what that much money can do for one student to keep them in college, to further their education.
It's definitely something great just to see that they're kind of giving back to their members and the people that they service.
Operation Roundup also helps get well-needed funding into our local classrooms with the Power Up grant program for teachers.
It's exciting because a lot of grant writing processes are very difficult. They're overwhelming to teachers. They look at it and think, oh, I couldn't possibly do that. But there is no reason a teacher would look at the White River grant process and not say, I've got a great idea, I could do this.
I applied for the Power Up grant through White River and have received it the last several years. And I have received $500 through that grant each year. And we have used that grant to provide books for our students to take home.
We've been able to get document cameras with the White River grants. That allows children we can project different things onto our smart boards so the entire class can maybe see a page in a book.
I think it's a great opportunity that White River provides this money for the local districts, and a lot of the local districts are smaller districts, so they don't have the funds.
I think it's fantastic that the cooperative is giving back to the community that they serve. When you give to children and the children's development and their education, you're giving to your own future.
At White River, we know the key to our community's strength lies with the opportunities we give our future generations to succeed.
Youth Tour was begun by the NRECA, which is the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association. And what it is they send students on a week-long trip to Washington, D.C. White River sends 3 delegates every year. The mission of Youth Tour is to educate these students about the democratic process. And we feel that it needs to go beyond textbooks and lectures.
I was just blown away. I mean, you see these monuments, it's almost like you're a part of it, and you can imagine it happening, and it does take your patriotism to a whole new level.
They have a morning where a speaker comes in and really gives them the information about cooperatives and teaches them how cooperatives fit into the national economy.
To be honest, before this I didn't know much about the cooperative at all. But afterwards I learned that without White River, most of the rural farms wouldn't have any power.
To me, the biggest thing was that it really is a cooperative organization. We own it and we run it.
The kids come back changed. I see them go and then I see them come back. You cannot see the dignity of the changing of the guard and not be changed. And these students come back and they have a desire to be involved in government, in community, and they come back as better
future leaders.
It's made me a lot more politically aware, which I feel like is a big, responsibility of the American citizen.
I used the word exchange rate because it made me think bigger. I always, thought about my small town, but now I'm thinking wide, like what can I do for America instead of what can I do for just my little town or my family.
It goes way beyond just the monuments and just the political process. It opens their eyes to the world.
Just as electricity stimulated the economy many years ago, today White River actively enables economic development in the Tri-Lakes area.
The co-op is involved in community and economic development so that we can help our membership.
The Agriculture Department has set up a fund for economic development out in the rural areas. We were actually able to tap some of that because of being an electric cooperative to be the funnel between the federal government and the individuals that are actually trying to create economic development in an area. We bring jobs to our consumers.
White River Electric is just my go-to source. I get a lot of phone calls when someone's wanting to start up a business, and I contact Mr. Cy Murray here at White River for any questions that I have. We've had great success. We've got a lot of new businesses that have started up.
We've helped an organization that deals with handicapped people in Taney County. They built one facility that a person can go to and they can get all their needs taken care of in this one facility, and we help them get some funding to make that project work. Another project that we did was with Skaggs Hospital for their nuclear accelerator. We were able to secure money for Skaggs to put in help their cancer center grow to where people in our area don't have to drive a long distance to get their treatments. Through the United States Department of Agriculture, we've got 9 different groups that we have helped. That's over $6 million that have been invested. Had it not been for us doing what we're doing, there wouldn't be that investment out there.
While the early co-ops fought to bring electricity to rural America, today's co-ops are fighting to make sure rural America's voice is still heard at all levels of the political system.
In the early ages of the electric co-op, especially White River Electric, people were just fighting to have electricity. Now what we fight is to minimize regulation in order to keep the cost of electricity down to something that can be manageable to our membership.
The folks at White River have been very, very trustworthy in the information I've received from them, because there's a lot of valuable decisions that have to be made in the form of voting and so forth as a legislator.
A lot of the legislative work that we do, people don't realize it affects their monthly bill that they have with us. We try to help the legislators understand that their vote has maybe more effect on people's pocketbook than what they realize.
We hear a lot of different avenues to what we need to be doing with our energy. White River has provided me with so much information, and I feel like it's steered me in the correct direction in the way I vote.
I think cooperatives are more important than ever because we can speak with a collective voice. If you took all the cooperatives in the United States, we speak as one of the top 7 electric suppliers in the United States. That's why when we go to Washington, people pay attention.
It's hard to imagine that a mere 70 years ago, our neighbors didn't have a simple light to read by after the sun went down. Today, thanks to White River Valley Electric Cooperative, we have conveniences our ancestors only dreamt of. We have computers to stay in touch with our grandkids, and a steaming cup of coffee to greet us in the morning. We're able to make a living, and we're living better, all because of electricity. It may have started with just one light bulb, but that one light bulb changed our lives forever.
This is the driving force that's never changed in the history of the electric co-ops. We are a member-owned organization.
We're owned by the members that we serve, and we're here to answer to them.
I can remember when we didn't have electricity, and I appreciate electricity. I don't consider it a luxury. I don't consider it extravagant.
What would you do without it? You just think everything you got's electric.
I like this air conditioning when it's hot, you know. And the TV. And wintertime, that electric blanket's not bad either.
Well, it's a means for everything you have.
How could we do without it?
Yeah,
How could we? I don't care how much it costs, it's worth it.
You just get used to having things that are electric, so you don't even think about where is this coming from. It's just there.
It's what we get up and do every day because we do it for our membership. It's what we do every day.